A humble beginning, 1881 to 1894. Alexander Fleming was born on August 6, 1881, in a small farm near Darvel, Scotland. He was the seventh of 8 children in a simple farming family. His father, Hugh Fleming, was a farmer who passed away when Alexander was just 7 years old. Despite their humble life, his mother, Grace, was determined to educate her children. Young Alexander grew up surrounded by nature, often exploring fields and streams, a curiosity that would later define his scientific spirit. He attended Loudon Moor School and Darvel School, where he showed an exceptional ability to observe and remember details. At just 14, he moved to London to live with his older brother Tom, who was a doctor. This move would forever change his destiny. Though money was tight, Alexander's sharp mind and calm nature helped him survive city life, setting the stage for a man who would one day change the course of modern medicine. The Curious Student, 1895 to 1906. Fleming's early years in London were filled with both challenges and opportunities. He attended the Royal Polytechnic Institution, working various jobs to support himself. In 1901, his outstanding academic performance earned him a scholarship to St. Mary's Hospital Medical School in Paddington. Initially, he wanted to study surgery, but his keen skills in laboratory work caught the attention of Sir Amwaa Wright, a pioneer in vaccine research. Wright encouraged Fleming to join his bacteriology research team, and this decision would define his career. Fleming became fascinated by microbes, infections, and the human immune system. He spent endless hours peering into microscopes, studying bacteria, and learning how diseases spread. Though quiet and modest, he was deeply dedicated and always asked questions others ignored. Little did he know that this curiosity would lead him to the greatest medical discovery of the 20th century, one that would save millions of lives around the world. The Soldier Scientist, 1914 to 1918. When World War I erupted in 1914, Fleming joined the Royal Army Medical Corps as a captain. He served in France, witnessing the horrifying effects of infected wounds on soldiers. At that time, antiseptics like carbolic acid were commonly used, but they often killed both harmful and beneficial cells, making healing difficult. Fleming realized that medicine needed a way to kill bacteria without harming the body. This experience changed his outlook completely. After the war, he returned to St. Mary's Hospital with a burning desire to find a better solution for infection control. He was deeply affected by the loss of so many soldiers to preventable infections. His time on the battlefield didn't just make him a hero, it gave him purpose. He vowed to find a way to help people heal faster and safer. The war had taught him that science could be the most powerful weapon against suffering. The first breakthrough, lysozyme, 1921 to 1927. Back at St. Mary's, Fleming threw himself into experiments. In 1921, during one of his routine tests, he discovered something extraordinary: lysozyme, an enzyme in the body's fluids that could kill bacteria. It was found in tears, saliva, and mucus. This was his first major discovery, showing that the human body naturally produced substances to fight infection. Although lysozyme wasn't powerful enough to kill all types of harmful bacteria, it gave Fleming a crucial insight. Nature itself held the key to fighting disease. This idea would stay with him. His work on lysozyme made him well known in scientific circles, but he was still searching for something far greater, a true antibacterial agent that could revolutionize medicine. Fleming remained patient, methodical, and open-minded, continuing his experiments even when they seemed to lead nowhere. And one day, luck, or perhaps destiny, would reward his persistence. The accidental discovery, 1928. In September 1928, Fleming returned to his lab after a vacation. He began cleaning up Petri dishes containing Staphylococcus bacteria, but something unusual caught his eye. One dish had been contaminated by mold, yet around the mold, the bacteria had disappeared. Intrigued, he examined it under a microscope and saw that the mold was killing the bacteria. He carefully isolated the mold and identified it as Penicillium notatum. Fleming realized he had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a substance capable of destroying harmful bacteria without harming human cells. He called it penicillin. At first, even he couldn't believe its potential. It was an accident, but one that would soon change the entire world of medicine forever. His sharp observation and scientific intuition had turned a small lab accident into the beginning of a medical revolution. The struggle for recognition, 1928 to 1938. Fleming published his findings in 1929, describing penicillin's antibacterial effects. However, few scientists took notice. The problem was that penicillin was unstable and difficult to extract in pure form. Fleming didn't have the resources or technical help to develop it further. For almost a decade, his discovery sat largely unnoticed. Yet, Fleming never gave up hope. He continued teaching and researching, convinced that one day, others would pick up where he left off. His humility and patience became legendary among his students. While others sought fame, Fleming quietly trusted that truth would eventually prevail. History would soon prove him right, because in another laboratory, a team of dedicated researchers was about to bring penicillin to life. The Oxford team revives penicillin, 1939 to 1941. In 1939, as World War II loomed, two scientists at Oxford University, Howard Florey and Ernst Borschain, came across Fleming's old paper on penicillin. Fascinated, they began working to purify and mass-produce it. Through tireless experiments, they succeeded in creating the first stable, usable form of penicillin. They tested it on mice, and the results were miraculous. In 1941, penicillin saved its first human patient, a policeman suffering from severe infection. Though the supply ran out before he could fully recover, it proved penicillin's power. Fleming was thrilled to see his discovery finally recognized. The Oxford team's work transformed his accidental mold into a life-saving drug that would soon change the course of the war and of medical history. Penicillin saves the world, 1942 to 1945. During World War II, penicillin became the most important medical weapon. Factories in the United States and Britain worked day and night to produce it in massive quantities. By 1944, millions of doses were being used on the battlefield, saving soldiers from deadly infections that would once have been fatal. Penicillin turned deadly wounds into treatable injuries and revolutionized medicine. Fleming, Florey, and Chain became heroes, sharing the 1945 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Fleming's quiet discovery had become a global miracle. He was knighted by King George VI, becoming Sir Alexander Fleming. The once humble Scottish farm boy had changed humanity's fight against disease forever, and it all began with a single forgotten Petri dish. Fame and humility, 1946 to 1955. Fleming's fame spread worldwide. He traveled across continents, giving lectures and receiving honors. Yet, fame never changed him. He remained soft-spoken, humble, and deeply human. He often reminded people that his discovery was an accident and that nature deserved the credit. When I woke up after dawn on September 28, 1928, he once said, "I certainly didn't plan to revolutionize all medicine by discovering the world's first antibiotic." Fleming became a symbol of how curiosity, patience, and observation could change the world. His colleagues admired his modesty as much as his brilliance. Despite global recognition, he continued to teach and inspire young scientists, always encouraging them to look carefully because even the smallest thing might change everything. Personal life and tragedy. Behind his scientific achievements, Fleming led a quiet personal life. He married Sarah Marion McElroy in 1915, an Irish nurse he met during World War I. The couple had one son, Robert Fleming, who later became a physician. Sadly, Sarah passed away in 1949, leaving a deep void in his life. 2 years later, he married Amalia Koutsourikas, a Greek microbiologist who had admired his work. They shared a deep bond and mutual respect. Despite his fame, Fleming remained a simple man, preferring quiet dinners to grand events. He often returned to Scotland to visit his birthplace, remembering the simplicity that had shaped him. Even in sorrow, he found comfort in his work and the countless lives his discovery continued to save. The warning from Fleming. As antibiotics became widely used, Fleming grew concerned about their misuse. In several public speeches, he warned that improper use of penicillin could lead to bacterial resistance. The thoughtless person playing with penicillin, he said, is morally responsible for the death of the man who succumbs to infection with a penicillin-resistant organism. His words were prophetic, and even today, they remain crucial advice for doctors and scientists worldwide. Fleming understood that science was powerful, but only when used wisely. His foresight and caution proved he wasn't just a scientist, but also a visionary who saw both the promise and the peril of his discovery. The final years, 1950 to 1955. In his later years, Fleming continued teaching and conducting research at St. Mary's Hospital. He received countless awards, honorary degrees, and global recognition. Yet, he never sought luxury or glory. He spent his last years quietly, surrounded by students and colleagues who adored him. On March 11, 1955, Alexander Fleming passed away peacefully at his home in London after suffering a heart attack. The world mourned the loss of a man whose simple curiosity had saved millions. He was buried in St. Paul's Cathedral, among Britain's greatest heroes, a fitting honor for a man who had changed the world not through war or power, but through science and compassion. The legacy lives on. Even decades after his death, Alexander Fleming's legacy continues to shape modern medicine. Penicillin paved the way for dozens of other antibiotics, curing diseases that were once death sentences. His discovery turned the tide of human history, extending life expectancy, reducing deaths, and inspiring generations of scientists. Every time a doctor prescribes antibiotics, Fleming's spirit lives on. His story reminds us that great discoveries often come from observation, patience, and a humble desire to help others. From a small Scottish farm to the halls of global fame, Fleming's journey remains one of the most inspiring tales in scientific history. Proof that even the simplest accident, when seen with curious eyes, can change the world forever.